Good evening and welcome to the Voice of the People. My name is Lois DeMayo and I will be hosting the show this evening with my good friend Joe Volanno, who happens to be the Area 3 candidate on the Republican ticket.
Thank
Good
you,
evening,
Lois.
Joe.
Thank you, Lois, for having me. It's always a pleasure being with you.
Now we're doing something very different tonight, live streaming.
We are. We're live streaming for the first time.
So if you would explain it to the people.
Sure. So if they go to my Facebook page, I just shared the link with everyone. So you could go onto YouTube through the Cheshire Public Access channel, and then you could just watch us live, and you could put comments and ask questions in the chat. So I look forward to some good questions coming.
Okay, and we can't make any mistakes tonight, right?
No mistakes.
No editing. Huh?
Yeah, there's no editing. So when we screw up, it's there forever.
That's it.
So, but it is a good time. Look at that. So we have some people joining us online, so that's good. We have 3 people watching us.
Oh, already?
So we're looking. It should be an interesting.
Probably my 2 daughters and my brother. No.
But again, this is a great forum now where people can actually ask questions, be live, and get things accomplished.
Let's hear some comments about some topics that we might hit tonight.
Oh, we got a big election coming up.
You bet.
So we're only 7 days away.
How time flies.
I tell you what, it did go really quick this year.
It did.
So.
And we're right in the midst of the war of the signs right now.
Yeah, I put all new signs up. All my signs went, all my big signs, my 4x8s went missing last week. I heard there was some scavenger hunts going on around the city, so.
Yeah, right.
Who knows,
I know it. Let's start off with some questions they had at the debate the other night.
Sure.
One of them, I have a question as far as homeless people with all the new buildings going up.
Yeah.
Why should there be anybody homeless on a street corner?
Well, you look at that process. It's a lengthy process. I mean, when you're applying for Section 8, you have quite a waiting list sometimes with the state, because the state runs that program. So, I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, some people are homeless due to unforeseen circumstances that are beyond their control. Others are addiction. So, I mean, listen, when it comes to the panhandlers, it did come up a couple times during the debate. And like I said, free speech is free speech. I stand out there on the corners with the signs, waving my signs saying, hey, vote for me.
The only ones that get me are the ones, young people.
Yeah.
Young people standing in front of stores holding a homeless sign up, and a sign in back of them says, now hiring.
Yeah. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, they have a right to be there. I don't want anyone infringing on their freedom of speech, just like I don't want anyone infringing on mine. I want the government out of my life as much as possible.
But you're not asking for money, Joe.
Listen, as long as it doesn't get aggressive, and it's happened a couple times, where the police will take care of it. But, I mean, if they're just sitting there holding their signs, if it's on private property, then obviously the stores have the right to turn around and tell them to get off the property. And if it's bothering people that much, they should go see the managers of the store, and they can take care of it. But as far as, being out on the streets, it's just
right now there are more jobs than unemployed people.
Well, absolutely. Listen, there's always going to be those percentages that, again, due to drug use, that they're not going to be able to get jobs, whether it's, again, there's so many circumstances. I mean, trust me, I know. I mean, I grew up poor. I know how it is to live off of the state assistance and everything else, but listen,
my family was on city aid.
I feel for them. I feel for the homeless. I feel for the people that are on the streets, but some of them that are out there also are making some pretty good money that is tax-free. And they've been on YouTube like we are tonight, just flaunting it.
Yeah.
So,
but
there's always going to be the good and the bad. The ones that take advantage of the system and take advantage of the people hurt the others that are really in need. So, just like any other program there is around.
You brought up as far as the police Let's get into the patrol system, where all of the
parole system?
patrol,
Patrol, okay.
the police patrol
Sure.
downtown.
Yeah.
They've all been pulled, and yet it's such a necessity. There's
they get
crime
pulled-
there.
They get pulled. There's two things you're going after. One, they get pulled off the green. So there's a special unit that patrols just around the green. That's been pulled. But again, that's still in that district. So they're going to be over on Grove Street in Springdale where they're probably going to be more needed, which is a good thing. Because right now, a lot of the stuff is winding down on the green. So.
But you don't see any on foot anymore.
Well,
Get out of the cruiser and walk around a little bit.
Yeah, and when they do it, it's usually because they get grants for the overtime. Is usually when they do stuff like that. Listen, I believe we have room for 122 sworn officers, and we have like 116 to 119 at any given time. So you're already short-staffed. So, and then on top of it, you pull some NI officers for other duties, for meetings and stuff like that. Now you have to backfill their positions also. So it gets tough. Listen, there needs to be a restructuring at the police department on how we community police. And that's something that I look forward to doing.
And not
hopefully
only
in the very
that, but
future.
what about security in the schools too?
Well, SROs are in the schools now. I mean, you still have them in the high schools and middle schools where they should be. And then they have the one that travels between the 5 elementary schools. So I believe that's essential. Now, who pays for that, whether it should be the Board of Ed or the police department, that's up for a discussion.
Yeah.
But they're a necessity. Unfortunately, in the times we live in, we need them.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. What were some of the other topics? The banquet hall.
The banquet hall, yep, that came up again. And listen, again, I was a big proponent of the banquet hall back when it was first, brought into existence and with us
But
trying
it was
to do
a
something.
different price, wasn't it?
It was, and it was at $400,000 when we first looked at it. And now it's at 1.5. I can't support it at 1.5. The city can't afford it at 1.5. So unlike the hangars, which, like Mr. Carabetta said, there's a business plan for that. There's already people waiting. They already know how much money they're going to make. We know none of that with the banquet hall.
Yeah.
So I just think right now it's just time to just put that on the back burner. And
where
we'll
would
look at
that
it
money? Should I rent the banquet hall to throw a private party?
Mm-hmm.
Who does that rent money go to?
Well, it all depends on how they break it down. So normally, the way I think it should go is Violi's or whoever should get a contract for it. And then, they would manage it because, listen, the city's not good at managing anything. So the last thing I want is the city to manage the banquet hall. So if you give the rent you up Violi's rent, give them the banquet hall, they can manage it. And again, it comes down to how do we pay for this within the 20 years? Because right now it's at about 34 years before it's all said and done. But I think between the increase in rent from Violi's and plus you do a profit sharing between the city until it's paid off, maybe like an 80-20. So Violi's would make 80% off of the rentals and the city would make 20. So we could do things like that could help bring some money into the city and help pay it off faster. But again,
I
it's still
don't
not worth it.
understand why Violi's would make the money.
Because they would rent.
It's not their property.
But neither is their restaurant now.
Right.
And that's the issue that we have. See, there's two ways people look at it. People look at it like, no, the city should get everything out of it because the city owns the property. Well, that's not true because we rent it out just like we rent anything else out. We own the schools, but the Board of Ed uses them. Mm-hmm. So there's a bunch of different ways to look at it. If you give Violi's the contract, they take care of it, they maintain it, just like they do currently with the restaurant. They manage that entire restaurant, and they manage the downstairs snack bar for when the golfers come around the 9th. So I don't think that's really the big issue. I think the big issue is, one, cost of it. And two is how much do we recoup and how fast we recoup it. Like right now at $1.5 million, it's a 34-year bond. And well, it's a 20-year bond, but we don't make any money back for about 34 years. And that's the problem. It's just it just doesn't make any financial sense to do that.
And plus, I mean, what if you bring in your own caterer? Then Viola's gets nothing?
Well, no. Again, it all depends on how it's structured, and that's why this needs to be put on the back burner, because none of that is actually in place yet, or none of it's even been talked about yet.
But no bathroom, no cooking facilities.
Yeah. So I mean,
it's just
you look
four
at it,
walls.
Right now it is. Now you got a new architect going to be making some plans, and we'll see what comes of it. Like I said, right now, that's where we're at. Let the architect make their plans, bring a couple to the city, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Now let's go to the hangars.
Sure.
Because it's been the banquet hall versus the hangars.
Which I don't know why. Because listen, at the end of the day, the city's trying to make money so they can lower the taxes for the residents. And that's ultimately what the job of the council is to do. So the hangars is, like I said, totally different from the banquet hall, because you know what you're getting with the hangars. You know what the rate's going to be. You know how many people are on the waiting list. You know that they're going to be filled. And you know what the payback is going to be on it. So it's a little bit different. And that's something that, like I said, I got behind with the hangars. It's
what's
a good
the
job.
cost of that?
It went up again. I don't know the exact number. Excuse me. I don't know the exact number of the hangars.
But that would be recouped
Absolutely.
much quicker.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So.
All right. What other topic was brought up the other night?
A lot of topics came up. So you had gun violence. You had taxes. You had, obviously, they love bringing up the Mr. Williams. And like that's something new that's never happened before.
Yeah.
So,
and how many times has it happened before?
Listen, when people run for mayor, it's still, they replace the seat. When people moved over to the state, they replace the seat. It happens all the time. Now, Again, Bob is representing Area 4. He has an opportunity, and the people want him to run to be at large. So he'll represent the whole entire city. So I don't really know the fuss about why everyone's in such up in arms about it. I mean, why? Because they don't know who's going to replace him in Area 4? That doesn't make any sense. When Kathy or Dante ran for Senate or the House, did we sit there and go, well, no, you can't run that because who's going to replace him? Listen, when you don't have anything to run on, when you have no issues to run on, you have to run on a process. You got to say, no, this isn't fair, or no, this isn't right. Because that's all you have. When you can't come to the arena of ideas with anything that makes sense,
the other party.
Your only option is to sit there and attack the process or attack someone else saying, no, you're just not doing it right. That's a weak argument. They don't know, they have nothing to run on for themselves. And if you look at, the things they are trying to run on, which is downtown, 3 years later, we still have 24 colonies. Really, let me rephrase that.
That's true.
Most of the colony is empty. So, the things they're trying to run on aren't going to get them far. They know that. So they're trying to put in the minds of the people that they're being duped, that, Bob Williams doesn't have any right to run at large, which is ridiculous.
Right. He has every right
Absolutely,
to run at
he does.
And this is why, people have asked how come we duly endorse with the Republicans. It's the only way we can do it. Otherwise, we're going to split the vote.
Yeah, listen, the relationship between we the people and the Republicans have always been a good one. We have our issues, obviously, between the parties, which is why there are two parties.
Exactly. But it's always on the conservative side.
Right. Well,
anyway.
Because at the end of the day, it's about the people. That's what it's really
and
about.
That's what our concern is. I don't see any one of our candidates, or in previous years either, making a statement that they're running on their family's name. Joey Carabetta could have done that, but didn't. He ran on his own,
Yeah, I mean, listen, to me personally, my belief is this is the weakest Democrat slate I've seen, and if we can't beat this slate, we're in some trouble in the future. I think most of them, like I said, the first time when my opponent spoke last week was the first time I ever heard her speak. I haven't heard her at all this campaign.
Me too.
So, but again, they're hoping that their name and that the having a D after their name is going to get them win an election. Hey, and don't get me wrong. It's
happened before.
It might happen. So it all depends, again, on how informed the voters are going to be.
And this, it's totally up to the voters every single time.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, we the people are on line E. And to explain that, because we have a Democratic governor, which puts the Democrats on A. Then the Republicans on B.
Yep.
And we are the third party in Meriden most active. But we are not...
But Libertarians are a national party.
And we are not recognized always by the state.
I bet say you're not recognized by the state.
We didn't. At times we have been. But we didn't participate in the governor's election.
Yeah.
So that put us at the lowest votes,
Yep.
which is why we're on line E. So people out there, you've got to remember line B and E.
Yeah, I mean, again, you hope that there's enough informed voters, and that's all I could ask for. Listen, I always respect what the people finally choose. Listen, you can love me or hate me, and there's usually not much in between. You either love what I stand for, or you hate me, for what I stand for.
I love you both high.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you're always going to know where I stand on the position. Whether it's good or bad for you, you're going to know where I stand, and that's all I could do. So listen. At the end of the day, I'll speak my piece, and I'll let the people,
honesty.
And I'll let the people, choose for themselves, which way they want to go. If they want to stay the course, by all means, they're going to do that, and they're going to vote for my opponent. If they want to change, they're going to go with us.
I don't see the experience or the knowledge in the opponents. I really don't this year. I do see that in our candidates, such as yourself. You keep up with things, and you're knowledgeable about what is going on in the council, what is going on in the city, and that's what I see our candidates. I mean, Dave Radzicki is very, very active in a lot of groups. Dan Zabrowski, my God, he knows all in his veteran status, and same thing with Keith, the veteran status in the police force. Everybody's got some experience and some knowledge. They're not just right out of college and not know any politics.
Yep. Well,
it's politics.
It's always politics, and,
Yeah.
and there's always going to be people that vote party lines, and there's going to be people that, again, will inform themselves and vote the right way. The way that they feel is going to bring change.
That's what I always hope for.
It's all we can hope for. I mean, but again, our job as candidates is to try to get that message out as much as we can, and to clarify our positions as much as we can. I saw a letter to the editor a couple days ago about me from one of my opponent's friends, and she said that I was against the school, I was against the library, which was false. I'm against the expansion of the library, if they want to clarify it. So I'm for the $7 million because they get a brand new library, which they desperately need. And then she went on to say that I'm all for giving money to developers for incentives, which I kind of chuckled because obviously this person doesn't pay attention to anything I say. So because I'd be the first one to sit there, and if you knew me, would be like, wait a minute, no, Joe is totally against giving developers any kind of abatement. When I talk about giving incentives to businesses, I mean give them to small businesses trying to get in, not big developers who are already getting
and local,
who are trying to get in state and local grants already. So, but again, you're always going to have your words twisted. It's politics, The uninformed are going to sit there and try to tell people that they are informed when they're not.
Right.
So it's just a matter of getting that message back out and correcting them when you see it, and like I said, just getting your message out and hope that your voters.
You brought up the library, Joe.
Yeah.
Now they had just got through doing the whole inside,
Well,
where now you check out your own books and everything. They laid off most of the staff.
No.
A lot of the staff.
No, they have a $2 million staff budget now. Listen, when it comes to, they did put some money, when Guy was here, they did put some money into the library to do some more automation, which is, we're talking about the self-checkouts, self-check-ins. But, like it came up during the debate, Kathy Batista wanted, it was like, oh, we need to expand on the children's center, we have to make the teen center. But she failed to mention that the plan that already was passed does all that. The only thing the new plan does, the expansion plan doesn't do is, one, move the front door to the right about 200 feet, and it doesn't add on the meeting room space.
But don't they want to buy their house
They do, which
on
they
Catlin
can.
Street and to make the parking lot bigger?
Well, no, because they wanted to use that for the expansion, because they would have to level that, and that's where their expansion would go. But the Friends of Library are going to buy that with their $1 million or $1 million that they had. No, they had a couple $100,000 that they're going to buy it for. And then they're going to knock it down and make it usable land. But again, they can still buy it if they want. But I just don't think that the taxpayers could afford another almost $2 million. It just doesn't make any sense right now.
Not right now.
Listen, the library now has 6 meeting rooms, 2 big ones and then 4 small ones off the side where the racks are for other books. So people could use those at any time. We have an Augusta Center that people could use at any time. They have a big room downstairs. They have a couple meeting rooms upstairs. There's so many meeting rooms in the city. Why do we have to build one that has a cafe in it at the library?
Oh, I know it.
Doesn't make any sense.
I know it. The cafe is what got
Doesn't
me.
make any sense. But again, people in Meriden, the Democratic councilors in Meriden love to spend money, and it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, that is the problem that I see.
They're addicted to grant money.
The loving of spending your money. Whether it's grant money or it's state-funded, local, it's still coming out of your pocket.
Well, here's the thing. They think short term. They don't look long term. So they grab the grants, they use it, and then what happens? Grants run out, and the city taxpayer gets stuck with the bill because they keep those programs going. Happens all the time.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I was talking to Denise today, and I think she is one that has stepped into Irene's shoes and carried on like there was no break in between.
Hey, listen, experience matters in that job.
She's had 14 years under Irene. You can't possibly walk into a job like that with no experience.
No. Again, and for me, it's one of those things I wish were not an elected position.
I know it.
It makes no sense to me. One of the most important jobs in City Hall is the record keeping. And we leave that to an elected official. It doesn't make any sense to me. So, to me, I just wish it was an appointed position and not an elected one. But it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, to have someone come in with absolutely no experience would be a detriment to the city. I just really would hate to see what would happen.
She earned it.
Well, sure she did.
She worked for 14 years under Irene.
Yeah.
She knew it frontwards and backwards.
She learned from the best.
Yes, exactly. Irene, there's one that didn't have the experience, but she had the experience in record keeping. She did all the record keeping up there. So she did have some experience in working, but got right into it. I mean, I don't think we've seen a better city clerk since Ruth Payne.
Yeah, that's a little
Until
bit before
Irene.
that's a little bit before my time, unfortunately.
My mother went to work for Ruth Payne.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and that was her first job as a married woman. You know, back then, you didn't leave the kids not until they grew up. Then you could go to work. But nothing that we can afford today.
No,
You
it's
can't afford not to. But she was an excellent, well, she was one of the first ones, but Irene was the master at it. And to learn from her, you know you got a
Absolutely.
good city clerk, you know. Who else do we have running now?
So you got Geetha, you got Dave, you got me, you got Mike Carabetta.
Okay, Geetha, downtown area, that's tough. You really got to
I tell you what, it's not
make yourself known and show them the difference of safety.
Listen, at the end of the day, for Area 1 is the voter turnout. That is the most notorious district of not getting the vote out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at it statistically throughout the years, maybe 1,000 people vote in it. I
Yeah.
mean, that's sad. 1,000 people come out and take the time to come out and vote. And I guess so for a candidate, you know, that is your main objective in Area 1 is to get out that vote.
I think her background carries a lot of weight. She is a veteran. She's worked 5 years undercover work. She was the first female police officer in the city of Hamden. So I think her background carries weight as far as within her
But
district.
the problem is, how
Inner
many people
city
know
district.
that? And again, that's she has two things going against her. One, it's her first time running, so the inexperience is gonna take some kind of toll on it. And two, it all depends on how much work you're willing to put in. Now she has quite a following behind her
Yeah.
that has put the time in, so she has a great chance of winning that seat this year.
And most important, she lives in the district.
Yeah, I mean, she's been in that same place for a long time, and again, her neighbors are great
She
fans
owns
of
her
her.
own home, and yeah.
So again, it's just a matter of can she get her message out to enough people, and the biggest thing is can she get now, Area 1, like I said, Area 1 is kind of abnormal. Where most people don't show up. Where in Area 3, you have at least about 3,000, almost 4,000 people that show up to vote. You know, 4 years ago, between me and Daniel, there was well over 3,000 people that came out and voted.
Mm-hmm.
So our job is a little different in 3 compared to 1. So 1 is get out the vote and make sure those people actually show up. 3, you know they're going to show up. Did you get your message out? Did you knock enough doors to make sure
Yeah.
that you met with people to say, hey, these are the changes we're looking to do? So,
Okay, let's talk about Mike Carabetta.
yep.
He's a great candidate.
He's an awesome
I
candidate.
like him.
And you look at what he's done, and
In 4.
again, and look what he's done. He spearheaded the referendum, and he said, again, enough people
He
said enough
worked.
is enough. And I brought it up during the debate. Most people were complaining, Democrats were complaining that it was a Republicans. Only 13.8% of Republicans were made up the vote count of the referendum. You had Democrats at over 2,000. You had independents that were over 2,600. So you had almost 70% of the vote coming from Democrats and the independents. That's going to be huge this year. And again,
Unaffiliates, you mean?
yes, and unaffiliated.
Yeah.
So again, do those 4,600 to 4,700 people come out and say this year, build off of what happened last year and say, no, we've had enough, and we're going to vote for change? That's the big question that everybody's trying to figure out, is are those
When
people...
he started that, I thought, oh my God, what a job this is. And
It
what a
was.
job he did.
Listen, he had a great team behind him. Between Sharon Milano, you had Tina Manley, you had Jenna Hall, you had a bunch of people that were behind that made it is what
tired,
it is.
tired. They always needed a referendum.
Yeah, well, again, to me, I would always like to open up the city charter and change a lot of things, but until you get a council to vote 2/3 to open it up.
Yeah, but once you go in, even for one
You
line,
can change everything. Everything's free.
you've got to open up the whole thing.
Everything's open.
And I don't know if you really want to go there to open up the whole thing, and you can't open part of it.
No, you can't open part of it. If you open it, you open it.
Yeah.
So.
That's dangerous.
Well, depending on how you look at it. I mean, again, everything would then go to a vote anyways. No matter what you want to change, each one would be voted on its merits. So I'm not too concerned about it. I like to see it open. I think it's time that we change some things. Again, one of them would be moving that city clerk to an appointed position. Two, I think we need. I understand. I think the mayor should have a little bit more power than what he does, especially when you're so lopsided at if look at when Walter first came in. When it was 12-0 before he got in there, and then it was 11-1.
11-1.
So,
I remember him being there, and he stuck it out.
Yeah, he stuck it out. Like I say, he was a trailblazer for everything that we are now.
Yeah.
He started. He held his ground. He said no. He said that's not the way it should happen, and and then we built on that. Mm-hmm. And look where we are today.
Yeah, no, he's been one of our leaders. You couldn't go wrong listening to Walter, and if you questioned it, he could explain it to you. He knew what he was talking about. Yeah, he became known as the no man up there.
Hey, sometimes that's okay.
You needed it.
Sometimes that's okay. Listen,
Sure it is.
like I say, it's okay to say no. And maybe put a compromise out there, in which they've done plenty of times. Mm-hmm. There are plenty of times where the Republicans and we the people have said no, but we would be willing to look at this.
Right.
And again, the library was a prime example of that. Like we were like, no, we're not going to do $9.8 million, but we do understand that it does need some work to it. And we do want to totally renovate it. So the 7.6, 7.8 was fine. We could deal with that. But again, that just wasn't enough for some people.
No, and what puzzles me is once the contractors are in there, they always find something else.
Well, listen,
it grows back that way from what you cut it.
This is a whole renovation. So everything's being gutted out and everything's being redone. So it's a total renovation. So this isn't just what we've been doing in the past, where $200,000 here, $200,000 here to fix roofs, because the roof is a mess. So this is a total renovation. So you really shouldn't see too many change orders that you normally expect to see.
Yeah.
But listen, it needs to be done. We got it at a good price. There's no need to expand it to add another meeting hall and a cafe. It just doesn't make any sense. There's plenty of other places in the city you can hold meetings.
Oh yeah.
So.
We had all those storefronts now.
That's unfortunate because listen, the job as a counselor is to make sure you make the city inviting enough to bring small businesses in. So when I talk about incentives for small businesses, I want a small business to come in, and if you hire Meriden residents, you get a discount. This way it should be. If you hire a certain percentage of Meriden residents, you should get an incentive, tax incentive for that, because you're creating jobs in the city. You're paying people that live here that are then going to be able to spend money here in Meriden. That's the ultimate goal. Right,
but there isn't a disposable income there.
No, but
to support stores.
Well, again, that just comes back to the whole reason why Colony Street is empty. It's because, again, the people that live there unfortunately don't have the disposable income. Now, is it their fault? No. They should have never built those buildings there to begin with. On top of it, like I said, the city saw this master plan in their heads, and they were like, oh, we're getting grant money, we're getting this, we're getting that, and we're going to give, and I don't know who ever thought giving 80% tax abatements over 20 years to a developer who's getting state and federal grants, low interest loans from both state and federal, and then getting Section 8 payments, which are guaranteed payments from the state. So really the developers,
But aren't they
Penrose,
buying up, that developer buying up Colony Street?
no. Well, but again, just to the point of that though is that they didn't need an 80% tax abatement.
And these stores are empty.
Well,
If people are coming looking for a place to open their boutique,
Yeah.
and they got to start from scratch, putting the ventilation in, putting the heating system in, they can go someplace where that's already there.
And that's the thing, and that's where it's going to be up to economic development to sit there and talk with them, and be like, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Why can't you do this, and this? But again, we can't force them to because it's their property to do as they wish with.
I know, but that should have never been.
Listen,
allowed,
the whole thing should have never been done the way it was done. If
Yeah.
anything, we should be looking at more like King's, the old hospital. That's the way it should have been done downtown, because that's all private development, done in 5 phases. But that's all private money. That's no state money. That's no.
And
no
what's
federal
going
money.
to be done there?
So that's going to be mostly senior housing, and then apartment buildings. So that's going to be in 5 stages, 5 phases, and that's going to take up most of that property there. But again, it's private funded.
Is that the old
Hospital.
hospital,
Yes.
not the medical center?
No, the old hospital.
Didn't they also take up the medical center?
They did.
The Record Journal project includes that, right?
No, where the Record Journal is obviously where they're putting the apartments there. They're putting the mixed
Yeah,
income. That's
yeah.
almost actually they're moving along pretty well over there. So those will probably be done end of December. So they're actually chucking along over there. So
Okay, so what about the medical center then?
that I'm not quite sure.
I thought that grouped in. And the old, what was the linoleum store on the end?
Chuck and Morris?
Yeah. Crown Street. That last store.
I don't remember what was there.
I don't remember. And anyways, that's right across the street from these. I don't know if they're going to contain that too, or
Yeah.
if they're going to take that down also. The city bought up the Record Journal property.
Knowing that it was contaminated.
100 years worth of ink, for one thing. But they bought that up, which relieved the Record Journal of 3 years back
Correct.
taxes.
Now, but again, the city will tell you, well, we got a grant to clean it up. But first of all, that was a payoff for the Record Journal for all their great articles over the years. I mean, so the Record Journal is the ones that got the sweetheart deal on that one.
Sure, they did.
So they just got it out of there without having to pay to clean up the contamination.
And that contamination, it was 100 years worth of ink.
Yeah.
But that brings me to ask, how much housing do we need? There's going to be 2 more buildings on the green.
Yeah, I think
one
those
on each corner.
Yeah, I don't think those are going to go.
You don't think so?
No. At least now I tell you what, if I'm elected, I'm going to be fighting that.
That would be a shame.
It would.
And to knock down the mills and then build 2 more projects right on the same land. That made no sense to me.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
know they had an offer to buy the mills. They said they were built like steel fortresses, and the contractor said that they would widen the hallways, widen the stairways, and redo every single apartment. And they refused to sell it to them, and they knocked them down instead.
I have mixed feelings on it. One, I like the new. I like the new buildings better. I think and listen, I used to work in the mills when I worked for Cox and Frontier. I used to be in there all the time. And listen, the place is like an institution. I don't know. I didn't like them, so I wasn't. So let me say, I wasn't sad to see them go. So,
But are these new buildings run by Meriden Housing Authority also?
they're run by a private they hire someone else. They own a property manager.
But they're not under Meriden Housing
No, the
Authority?
Meriden Housing Authority, I believe, owns them, but
Yeah.
it's managed by a property managing company, just like 24 Colony Street is. So Penrose might own it, but it's run by another group.
Property manager.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these over at the Record Journal now.
Those are going to be mixed income also. Listen, again, this is what happens when you vote the same people in, and this is things you get. And like I said, I mentioned during the debate that you kept hearing that word hope coming from the other side. And again, people don't want hope. People want something tangible that they can sit there and say and touch and feel and say, hey, look, this is a change that's really happening. And you're not getting that. You're getting that, oh, well, build it and they will come, and they're not coming. So.
That's too bad. And I hate to see all of these stores going to waste. When they were first building them, and I asked at the time, why all the stores? Well, we're going to have high-end boutiques, a white tablecloth restaurant. And I says, these people can't afford that.
Yeah, listen,
that's what was going to be the difference, the storefronts.
To bring people in, you need a mixture of different things. One, you need something that's recognizable. So you need that one anchor store that's going to be like everybody knows. That's going to draw everybody downtown. To me, I always say, like, I would love to see a Pepe's Pizza go into 24 Colony Street. And people stop and go, oh, you have enough pizza places. Yeah, but you don't have a Pepe's Pizza. Because what that will do will bring people from Cheshire, Middletown, Berlin, Wallingford to Meriden. Because everybody loves Pepe's Pizza. If you never had Pepe's Pizza, then you probably don't understand what I'm talking about. But they have the greatest pizza. And it's a well-known name. And it's one thing that can get people downtown. And then you can feed off of that. You need those one or two anchor stores to get it all started. But again, that's where I talk about having incentives for small businesses. So if you had a Pepe's come in, you need at least 20 or 30 employees because the place is always going to be busy. If you get 80% of those Meriden residents, great. Now you've hired Meriden residents that live around the area, whatever. They're working there. You got people coming from outside, and now you have people getting a paycheck who can now spend money downtown or in other areas of the city. So it's doing things like that that's going to turn around Meriden and really start getting people to start coming downtown. But again, it's going to cost us a little bit of money, not the developers, but the small business owners.
But, they're never going to bring downtown back the way it was.
Nor should it. I don't want it back the way it used to be.
And they shouldn't have that in mind. They're going to bring back downtown.
Listen,
you're not going to bring back downtown.
Listen,
make your own new downtown.
That's it. So, because look at what's going on in the world. I was at Michael's today to get little plastic bags for my candy bags I do for Halloween.
Plastic bags?
The little cellophane bags, the little treat bags. Okay.
Yes.
So I went to Michael's today, bought them out of about 400 or 500 bags. I get home, I'm like, oh, these are the wrong ones, they're too big. I went on Amazon. I ordered 2 packs of 200, and you know what? They were delivered today. So I ordered them this morning at 10 o'clock.
Oh, you ordered them today?
I ordered at 10 o'clock this morning. I got them this evening. That is the wave of the future. That is why retail stores are going out of business. Listen, we have to understand where the future is. And the future is not in big box stores. It's not in, retail stores. That's why the mall's having such a hard time. We have to realize that times are changing. We need to change with those, or else we're going to end up dying along with it, with everything else. JCPenney learned that the hard way. Sears learned that the hard way.
And they're going to, You know, when that first started, it wasn't the mall that closed up downtown. It was Stars, it was King's. When working women didn't have to run downtown, pick up their shoes at Rosamond Miller, get right back to work because now they don't have time to eat lunch. And all of a sudden a store opened where they could go shopping at nighttime.
Yeah.
So it was Stars, it was King's, it was Barker's. Those stores before the mall even came into play.
So really, it wasn't even the store that did it. It's that people had certain needs
That's right.
that got fulfilled by, again, capitalism. You know, when there's a demand, when you meet that demand, you can get business.
That's right.
And if it meant being open at night, these little stores could have stayed open till night.
Sure.
They chose not to.
Friday night they did.
Right, but again, you know, if people wanted Monday through Thursday, you know what? You had to stay open.
That's right.
And
And,
again-
when women start going to work a lot, and you had just your lunch hour to run downtown
And now
and
you'll
pick
say
up
the same
whatever.
thing. Now we'll say the same thing about, you know, stores closing now. Is that, you know what?
That's right.
You know, we're open late, but now Amazon and these other stores are all here. You know, Walmart online. They're like, no, we don't need to go to the store
Everything
anymore.
is online now. Yep.
Yeah.
So
it's just, again,
and
it's just embracing the
this will
future.
revolve again.
Oh, sure
you know.
it will.
It's a continuous.
Yeah. Look at
method.
the restaurants. You know, you look at restaurants back just 10 years ago. You didn't have mobile food trucks.
Right.
You didn't have DoorDash or HubGrub, whatever it is. Yeah. So listen, you know,
You
the
didn't have
people are-
grocery stores delivering their groceries
you're
to you.
right. But you know what though? There was a demand for it, and people are like, you know what? I just don't have the time. Again, working 2 jobs. You know, having the kids. You know, not having to lug a toddler around. You know how hard it is to bring Tucker around at 4. You know,
Yeah.
he wants to touch everything, wants to jump down everywhere, and when you could just sit there and simply order it online and have it same day delivered.
For the elderly,
The elder, yeah, absolutely,
sick people,
absolutely.
pick up the phone.
They have their pharmacy. Look at Hancock's. Hancock's delivers your prescriptions right to you.
Right. Graber's does too.
Yeah.
Or used to, I don't know.
So, I mean, listen, you know, things are always evolving.
Yeah.
Cities are always evolving, which is why you have to have a council that always evolves, that keeps up with the times and, you know, and makes adjustments when needed. You know, we've talked about the 2 buildings that would be on the green. Those aren't going to happen. I'll put that. I can say that. I don't think those are ever going to happen. You're never going to see those on the green. But again, it's just because the people are speaking out against it. And listen, is there a
Why
need for them?
spoiled? They finally got a place that you could only imagine a couple years ago. And why spoil it
Well,
now?
I don't know if it's spoiling it. I think it was just a bad concept.
You're taking part of
I
it
think-
away already.
Yeah, like I said, I don't see them happening. But I mean, time will say.
I never accepted that bridge anyways. So
Listen, the bridge, the bridge. That's, you know, I remember going to the architecture's thing on the bridge, and they called it Rhodey's Bridge because he demanded that we have the bridge. You say, why do we need spend $8.1 million on a bridge that goes absolutely nowhere? And they're like, oh well, in case the thing floods, you can get across it. It's like, 1, why would you be even near it if it's flooding? And 2, why wouldn't you walk? You can't walk around it.
this is so that people didn't have to walk from Pratt Street to State Street.
Listen, people can walk around. I mean, look at what happened to that bridge. I said that when they first
They
did
have
it.
2 other small bridges there.
Right, but if it floods, you can't use those.
Now,
but again-
what's wrong with Red Bridge, which meant something to the people?
See, again.
And you could truck it in all the way from
It's
Oregon.
funny because, you know, I still fall into this because I'm not from Meriden.
Ah,
I have no idea what the significance of
You-
Red Bridge was.
you used to drive over it before the road was built.
Yeah, so, I mean, listen,
I've
to sit
driven
there and pick up Red
over it.
Bridge and bring it down there, would it make sense? I don't think so. Again, it's where it is. It should stay where it is. You didn't need an $8.1 million bridge. You didn't need it. It just doesn't make sense. Plus, all the maintenance is going to cost the taxpayers. I mean, you look at there are stress fractures on it. Just what, 6 months after it was opened up, you had stress fractures in it. You had the wires breaking all the time.
Why not just put in bigger culverts?
Well, listen, I love the green. I do. I love the green. I think it's a great investment. I think it was terrific. I think flood control was an issue. It solves that problem. But again, you didn't need to do some of the other things that they wanted, like the bridge. The bridge, I still won't walk over it. That's how anti-bridge I am. I still won't even walk on it. It just irritates me every time I see it. But I think about the money that is being wasted on it, and in the future,
trucked in from Alabama.
In 10 years, when that thing starts to rust and we start having to really put some money into it, I think people are going to see where I was coming from on it. But as far as the green, I absolutely love the green. I love spending time on the green. I like going there. I think it's a great addition to the city. It's a nice compliment to Hubbard Park. Let me put it that way. I think they complement each other well.
That's true. I think at the time that it was developed, there wasn't enough downtown yet. People were wondering, like,
well, no one's going to come
why
down.
this big park in the middle of nowhere?
Well, no one's going to come downtown just due to the fact that it was flooding all the time. I mean, who would sit there and want to start a business or build a property?
The buildings were not going up. I mean, now you can see the development of it all.
Well, again, the development.
The boulevard on Pratt Street.
That's just ridiculous.
Anybody that grew up in Meriden, Pratt Street is not the street you're going to put a boulevard on.
Well, listen, I understood that. I knew where they were coming from, what they were trying to do, and I get it. I get what they were trying to do. One, I don't like the mediums. I don't like the mediums in the middle of the road.
No.
Unless you were ready to change the entire street and really force a beautification of that area.
Yeah.
Then you could sit there and make an argument for it. But to sit there and say, well, because we build a boulevard, everything else is gonna blossom out and it's gonna be the gateway to Meriden. That was just a joke to me. I just chuckled at it.
Me too.
If you were to beautify everything first and sit there and have a beautiful place going down, then you want to do a boulevard, I probably could have been sold on it that way, not in the reverse order.
No. Well, even when you're talking about the mixed income housing.
Mm-hmm. We could call it low-income housing. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going there and paying $12.50 for an apartment that the guy next door is paying $60.
Listen, they're having a hard time filling those locations, and I think what's going to happen over the next year or so, it's all going to be I mean, they're going to start putting them in, and because again, is anybody even watching? Is anyone even monitoring what the percentage is between market rate versus affordable?
Downtown, one building was occupied, and the other one not at all.
Yeah. But listen, we have some struggles. We have some hurdles to overcome in the next couple of years.
This is where we've got to get a strong council. And I see that with, I want to say, Dan Zabrowski at large. I see in Area 1, Jeetha Cottrell. I see in Area 2, Dave Gradzicki. In Area 3, I see Joe Volanno.
I hope.
And in Area 4, Mike Carabetta.
And then we got Mike and
Bob
Williams.
Gotten Bob Williams at large.
Yep.
And Denise Scantry, city clerk. I see a real possibilities
here. We have a very,
here.
very strong team.
I think so.
I can't be any happier or proud to be running along with a great team.
Yeah.
They are all phenomenal. And again, they all care about the city. And they're all very active in the city.
Yeah.
So there's not one that you can sit there and turn around and say, well, they're not active in the city. They don't know what's going on.
They're not doing their job. No. And
there's not one.
This we can say about the opposing team. There are a couple that I think all of ours have been active.
Oh, absolutely. And vocal.
And
that's what's most important. Is
they go to city council meetings, they speak up in the public speaking, and,
like I said, the point that they're vocal, that they where they stand on things. There's not a single one of us running that you can't turn around and say, I know where they stand on this issue. You can't say that on the opponents.
There's not a single one that you can ask a question of that if they don't know, they will tell you, I'll get back to you today.
Yeah.
And they'll find out. Most of them know the answer to what you're asking them.
You even look at their websites.
They're up on
You look at their
things.
websites, there's not a single issue on there. Not a single issue on any of their websites. It's all just a bunch of pictures. And I love a good photo album. You go to my Facebook, you can see all the photo albums you want. But if you go on my campaign page, it's issues. That's what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
That's what people care about.
All I've seen is letters to the editor, and half of them are, not worth reading.
No, like I said, some of them I chuckle at, and some of them people are just uninformed.
Or if you want a good joke, a good laugh for the day,
I didn't realize I was for big development. Of getting incentives to bigger development, even though every single time I speak.
I don't know what's the matter with you, Joe.
I know. I'm sorry. They're grabbing onto me from the other side, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Let's hope it's not catchy.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a great show.
Oh my God, we're out of time already.
You bet. Yeah.
This was a great streaming video. We had some good people. Next time, I hope people will put some questions in here, and put some comments in the chat box there. But we have 6 people on there now.
We're doing live streaming for the first time tonight, and hope everybody enjoyed it. You can watch us with the link. You can watch us right on YouTube as we tape live.
There'll be a new link every week. Every week there'll be a new link. So
check it out. Different link every single week. I thank you for coming on.
It's always a pleasure.
And helping us get started with this live streaming bit.
I love being here.
Oh, good. At least we don't have to talk about women's clothing and high heels, huh?
No, well, at least when I'm not here, I'm back there.
That's right.
Behind the glass.
You're always here.
I'm always here.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And thank you to the viewing audience for tuning in tonight. And join us again next week on The Voice of the People.